These are the Green Razorbacks. Probably seen them before. You know, a lot of people review them. Dale's Leatherworks, I think, reviewed this almost exact pair. There's a difference I noticed from his videos about 2 years ago. Want to talk about the sizing and some concerns I've had. This is the second Jim Green I've bought, and it still has kind of an issue. Before we get into the boots, just kind of a quick thing with the box, just because I'm here. Nothing special. You know, Jim Green box. It's just a shoe box. It came in a bag. I bought from their website. Here's the specs here of the boot. It's a size 12. US, UK 11, EU 46. I guess it's style B6. I don't know what that is. JGN, I think, is the gum. What is it? The Honey Vibram style sole. And then inside the box was just some tissue paper and a sticker. It's a cool sticker. I like the Jim Green logos. Kind of fun. I'll put that back there when we talk about the boots. But yeah, here's the sticker. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I like their logo. It's funny. You got the frog with the boots. So anyway, this pair I've always liked the look of. They call this leather fudge. I just kind of think of like the Timberland, you know, like Tim's, typical Timberland, whatever that nubuck stuff is. I don't know if this is the same thing, but that's what it reminds me of. And this boot obviously reminds me of that whole style with the honey sole. It's not an actual Honey Vibram, it's their own proprietary honey sole, but it actually is a nicer color. I know it's kind of silly to bring this up, but this is more of a warmer yellowish tone. And I probably should have had one out here, but if I put one of my Vibram honey lugs next to it, they're more of like a cream color, whereas this is more like the Dr. Martens. Well, no, Dr. Martens is really darker. This is just kind of a yellower, I guess, color. It looks cool. Like Timberlands, I think, come with this kind of color. What's really strange about this last, this is the JG last. They call it a triple E width last, but it's super short. So yes, it's a super wide. It is a triple E. I believe the width. I mean, look at this thing. That is a really wide boot. The heel isn't terrible. I mean, it's not super snug, but it's not like crazy sloppy. I would say it's not really bigger than a double E Nix, like a Nix 67 or something. That's what I think I compare to. I think that I have in a double E. I think the 79 last that I had in 11.5 double E had probably a more snug heel than this, but it's not bad. And then there's plenty of room, more than I need. You know, I have a normal D width foot, so plenty of room in the ball, plenty of room here, but this curves in so much. My big toe, even sizing a half up, so I went up to a 12. I'm a Brannock 11.5. I'm still hitting the side of this, and it's uncomfortable, and it's crazy. I had originally bought the Stockman. I did a quick little YouTube short, or no, may have been last year or earlier. Yeah, I think it was last year, maybe December. If not, it was January. But I got the Stockman, same JG last, and I got it with the Fudge color. And I put it on, I immediately knew, I'm like, there's no way this boot will work. It's way too short. It's not that it was so much small, like the width I was fine with in the room, but it was super short. And I mentioned this in another video. I'll show you kind of some examples here. But like, here is a Parkhurst 11, and I think Parkhurst calls their last a D of the 602M. I think they call it a D. I lined up the heel pockets. Parkhurst is an 11. Jim Green's at 11E, I think, or DE. And then the Jim Green on the right is supposed to be a triple E, 12 triple E. And I would say the Parkhurst is still longer. If you look at the kind of the tip, don't really worry about the welts, but just like the tip of where the toe box is, the Parkhurst looks a little bit longer, and it should be technically a whole size shorter. So yes, the Parkhurst is a little bit tighter up there, but nobody's toes are over here. People's toes are here and here, you know, and that's just wasted space. So don't shake it too much. I lined up the heel pockets. Don't look at the back of the heel. That doesn't really matter. I'm trying my best to line up where the heel will actually sit in the boot. And I don't know, it doesn't look like they're lined up, but I did line these up, and then look. 11E on the left, 12 triple E on the right, and is clearly a shorter boot. So, like, it's just it it's not a true to size or long last. It is, or a big last. It's a short last that's just super wide. So it's clearly a short last. It's not at even close. People say it runs true to size. It does not run true to size. I guess these guys don't have the same foot shape as me. I don't know. But the boots don't lie. These are significantly shorter than a Parkhurst 602M and a Nix 67 and basically every single boot I have. So to me, that basically is, it's not running true to size, it's running short. Those boots maybe run a little bit big, but there's such a significant difference. I don't think it says this is true to size. I think it means these run short. So they're a very wide and a short last. And that's just a disaster for my foot, to be honest. So I really love this boot. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a chance because, you know, a lot of guys comment, oh, you got to break them in or whatever. Honestly, I don't think you can break in your big toe jamming the side here, but I'll try. I'll give it a little bit longer, and if I eventually have to give up, I'll drop them on eBay or something. But it's a bummer because this is a super cool looking boot. Outside of the toe push, big toe push, it's very comfortable. You know, there's obviously no little toe push. This is such a huge last. My foot doesn't even fill up the width. I don't feel like I'm swimming too much when I lace them up tight. This isn't so much a facing, but the way this whole system works, they're not touching. So I don't think my foot's too small for this width. But it's weird how Jim Green does their thing where they don't have like different widths for different lasts. It's like each last is a width. So any boot on the JG last is going to be triple E. They don't have different widths of the same last, like Nix and all the PNW. There's a 55 last in A or triple A, double A up to like quad F or some crazy widths. It's the same last. Each of their lasts is a different style. So what I really wanted was their STC steel toe cap last because it's a double E, so it's not super wide. It's wider, wider than normal, but not as wide as this, and it has more of a big toe. And I think it might be a little bit more straight here instead of curved over. I don't know for sure, but this was the one I started with, and it might be the end of my journey with this brand because I don't know. If it's going to fit this badly, I would question how another last would fit better. Unless, maybe I try a 12 and a half STC last because it's not quite as wide as this, so maybe I can go even longer. But that's I mean, I don't know. I want to say it's ludicrous, but one guy did comment on my short I did on these that he has to size his Jim Greens a full size up. So this is a half up. Maybe that is part of it. I don't know. I have to double check on their site to see if returns are free. Because if that's the case, I might consider buying one of the STC boots knowing I can return it for a full refund. I have to double check that. But I don't know. Just the issue I'm having with this last, two pairs don't fit. One of them was a complete bust, returned it to Amazon immediately. And then this one is basically a bust, not quite, but it's a shame because this is a really cool boot, and for $199, this is a hell of a boot for $199. Build quality is very nice. Obviously, it's not a super perfectionist type boot, but for what this is just kind of like a workish, just go out and beat them up and not care. I think it's a very good build quality for that, and the stitching looks fine. Like I've seen way worse stitching on Nicks and Whites, to be honest. Like these curves, that looks really good. Similar on this pair, like whoever they got sewing their boots is doing a good job. I would say the double row stitch down is a little questionable, but I don't care because they overlap almost the same stitching. So that's definitely not as nice as the PNW stuff. But as far as the upper stitching, I would say it's equal. Leather is, kind of questionable. I've worn these a couple times, but I don't know. I feel like they kind of look like that when they're out of the box. This is not exactly a heritage fancy leather. It's kind of crinkled looking, and there was some glue stuck on this. You can actually still see a little bit of it. There was some glue here stuck on the upper. Tried to rub it back and forth so it kind of peels off, whatever, like a rubber cement vibe. The inside leather is really nice. I don't know, in the pictures it kind of looks cheap and almost like plastic, but this actually kind of looks, I don't know, like a baseball glove or something. Yellow, but decent lining leather. These are good laces, very thick. The hardware is a little weird, but it seems pretty durable. These speed hooks seem pretty heavy duty. If you pinch them, they don't seem like they want to collapse like a, something from Alden, but maybe not necessarily as tough as the ones from Truman or P&W, but they do something I've never seen the P&W or other brands do. Is if you watch their build videos, after they crimp on the speed hooks, they put this kind of like cap over the back and then crimp that, and then it makes it super smooth. That is a really cool feature that I've never heard anyone talk about, that I noticed in the Jim Green build videos. And this is awesome because this will never, it's so soft, like it's smoothed over metal. This will never tear up the tongue. Whereas the typical, par for the course would, not just B&W, but any boots, that just kind of that star pattern when they crimp them on, those just rip your tongues to pieces. And if you have a, P&W, the kiltie, it tears up the kiltie. I've always thought it was kind of stupid. The tongue is padded. It's like some memory foam in here. It's kind of cool. This is a difference I noticed. Everybody was saying in these old videos, if I can get this thing out, everyone's saying the insole. I think is it Rose Anvil or someone had a video with it, and it was like a weird yellow thin thing of leather maybe, or cloth thing, and then it had a little foam thing on the heel. That is not what they're doing anymore, so they must have changed it up at Jim Green. They now give you kind of a standard foam insole. It's a little smelly when it came out. It kind of has a very chemical foam rubber smell, but it's a foam kind of shaped foot or insole, like a kind of a common one, and then it has a pretty decent like brown. I'm sure this isn't any high quality leather, but this seems like genuine leather glued on top of it, and then you can see they sanded it down and kind of cleaned it up. I've never seen anyone talk about that, so this must be a more relatively new thing they started doing. You could see, look at this. It says Steel Gym 10-11.5B. I don't know what the B stands for. This is not a B width boot, but they must cut these depending on the size of the boot. And you could even see like that cut line is maybe not necessarily scissors, but it's not like a machine cut. Somebody was doing this more by hand. But you can actually, I don't know if I can get the light right. You can see my toes are literally right at the front. So you can see my 4 little toes like right here, and my big toe right here. So when I have these on, my foot is like literally right up at the front of the boot. And that's a half size up. So this, I do not agree with all this nonsense that Jim Green runs big. It does not run big, or even true to size. They run wide. I agree with that. They're a very wide boot. They do not run large, they run short. And it's unfortunate. Because if I go another half up to a 12.5 triple E in this, I just feel like my foot's going to swim. And as it is, I'm wearing them with a thicker sock because since they're triple E, and they still feel kind of roomy, I guess. I said it kind of wears like a house slipper. By the way, since I have this taken out, you can see the inside there. It's like a fiber board or something. I think Rose Anvil talked about this. Nothing fancy. You would not want to stand. You would not want to stand on that. So it definitely needs some type of insole. You could swap this out for your own. If you're a dude with orthotics or whatever, maybe use one of those, or ones that I used to use on some shoes years ago were the black colored Superfeet brand. They were like a thinner one, not super thick. So I actually ran those forever ago in my Iron Rangers initially to kind of break them in. I'm talking over a decade back. And then eventually I just started wearing the Iron Rangers, how they're supposed to be, where you stand on the leather footbed. But yeah, that's the Jim Green Razorback. Real shame. I like the brand. I watched a lot of their videos lately with I don't remember his name, but the CEO's I think the guy could be younger than me, honestly. He's not that old. Seems like a real cool dude. I like the story, and you watch some of their build videos, and so they show some of the employees, and I saw one with the employee was kind of, I guess, sort of wearing the boot that they had launched. I don't know if it was the 719 or one of those newer collab boots, and he wore it for X amount of months and kind of gave feedback. It was really cool. I think the guy's name was Lada or something like that. That was really neat. So the brand seems really cool. Quality is really good for the money. You know, this maybe is a little bit off topic, but I feel more comfortable buying a product made in South Africa than I do made in communist China. But maybe that's my own thing. So I like the brand. I'm just not so sure about the fit. So I think at least what I got to do to give them a little bit of a fair shake is I need to email them and tell them kind of my situation with this last and the sizing and see what they think. If they think I'll have good success going to an STC in the 12 or maybe going to a 12 and a half in the STC, I might buy either the Numzon or whatever they have, one of them with the tire tread that comes on the STC last, or maybe even try Rosanville's rugged African Trooper. That looks pretty cool, but it's a little bit more heavy duty, like a hardcore boot. I don't really need something like that, but I could buy it just to test the last and then try them on. If they don't fit right, I'll just return them. If it's no cost to me, I might be willing to do that, but it's kind of a shame because I like the brand, I like the style, and it's pretty cool. It's a cool story. You kind of feel good about buying them. So anyway, that's the Jim Green Razorback, and the JG Last ain't so great for me, but I would like to find some boot or last from them that actually works for my foot because I think the brand's pretty freaking cool. Cheers.